From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? We're back. We're live. We were actually ready to go yesterday, and by we, I mean Corey was. I was not. I was entrenched in battle as I fought tooth and nail to purchase a new car. By the way, shout out to the good folks at Sun Toyota in the Tampa Bay area and my guy Rami. He was like, give me a shout out on the show. So there you go, Rami. Thank you, man. Got new car, new whip. Same co-host, though. The best guy in the business. Corey S. Clark. What up, man?
What's up, buddy? What's up, man? So did you have a good holiday season, good Christmas? What did we do?
Yeah, it was good. People don't care about this. So much has happened. They don't want to know about our personal lives. Corey, let's get right to it.
I don't feel like that's accurate at all.
Mine was okay. Well,
by the way, you'll like this. So I forgot to tell you this the last time we did the show, but I was talking to Brady. This is really weird, actually. I don't even know if I should say this because he's going to grow up and these will all be saved in perpetuity.
For sure.
But I asked him what he wanted I was just talking to him one day about what he thought he was going to get for Christmas and what he wanted. And he said, man, he goes, all I want for Christmas is to spend 2 hours with Aslan.
Stop.
Legitimately.
Stop.
I'm like, Brady, I'm pulling this car around.
Yeah, come on. What's going on?
We're not living our lives like this. You've got to aim for better.
What are you and Shanna doing to this kid that he just wants 2 hours away from you?
He thinks you're funny. He likes you. You're his favorite host on this show. And yeah, I'm like, all right, man. The next time you're down in Tallahassee, we'll hang out with Aslan for 2 hours. Me and Stephanie will go see a movie.
Be rad.
He was all fired up about it.
Brady's the man, dude. All right, that's good stuff. All right, well, give us 30 seconds about how you've been because everybody wants to hear us talk about everything that's going on in Florida State. It's been a while. What was your holiday like?
Been good. My son has apparently become a huge wrestling fan.
Woo.
I don't know how it happened. I guess everybody goes through that phase when they're a kid. His came really quickly, like a tidal wave. And he got like 4 or 5 books for Christmas. I got him WWE Raw tickets.
Okay, it's happening.
So we're going to be seeing a little WWE Raw. It'll be my first ever pro wrestling event. So, yeah. So that was kind of – he was really fired up about that, about all the wrestling stuff, really fired up about the wrestling tickets. And sometime in February, me and him will be going rubbing elbows with all the wrestling fans in Atlanta.
Is he going to make a sign, you think? Like, will he that? Is he going to like get the Ultimate Warrior?
I don't know.
Face
like,
paint
I told him he needs to if he wants to try to get on TV. The seats are pretty good, but I would have no idea what kind of sign to make. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Do people still bring those signs?
Or like Hulkamania?
Yeah, I'll probably get a Hulkamania one or something about Roddy Piper. Yeah. That's when I tuned out of wrestling. Goldberg.
Okay.
So something like that. But yeah, we'll make a sign. We'll try to get on TV.
All right, 3 minutes of riffraff. So not a lot's really happened, Corey. They were going to get a quarterback, but then they weren't going to get that quarterback. Then they got the quarterback. The offensive coordinator that we thought was coming is now here, and then the linebacker that was supposed to leave is still staying around. So busy times in the Seminole Kingdom. Yeah, where do you want to begin? Let's start, I guess, obviously with the Kendal Briles hire. That was something that had been cooking for a while, obviously, after Florida State had parted ways, or Walt Bell, rather, had gone to UMass. Say what you will about where he falls in the hierarchy of the options that Florida State had. Was it Hugh Freeze number 1? Was it Kendal Briles number 2? Who cares? He's here. Give me the excitement. Give me the build up the juice, Corey, because I don't want to be cynical, Aslan, this close to the new year and turning the page. Prolific guy. I mean, produced everywhere he's been, but it still just feels like, well, if the quarterback position is not going to be shored up, how much magic can he work? But he's worked it everywhere he's been.
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing that would get Florida State fans excited is it has worked everywhere he's been and worked to an alarmingly good degree.
Elite.
I think they've averaged – I think this year at Houston, they scored 40 points 10 times or more. They scored 30 points in the first 12 games, which nobody did. That was his I guess that was his one and only year there. But it's not like that was a fluke. Like he hadn't done well before that. He did well with Lane Kiffin, and then he obviously did well at Baylor. I mean, they set all kinds of offensive records at Baylor, so he has that in him. You know what I mean? Like that guy knows how to run an offense that will score 40-plus points a game. I don't know if he has the roster to do it, but right now But when that roster gets tinkered with to the point that they get the guys in there that they need up front and perhaps even at quarterback, Florida State, as long as Briles is here, will be scoring 35, 38, 42 points a game. That's what it does. That's what that offense does. And he runs it really well. So I think that's the exciting part of it. I think when you look at what, like Walt Bell, people love. I mean, I'll be honest, I thought it was a good hire too. You heard great things about the guy. Mm-hmm. And he was an OC at Maryland at like 31 or 32 years old. I mean, he was considered a hot shot guy, but he had never really had success at this level. He had one really good year at Arkansas State, but then at Maryland, because of quarterback issues, I'm not saying it was his fault, but they kept losing quarterbacks. He averaged like 24 a game or 26, nothing great. No matter where Kendal Briles has been, his offenses have averaged 40-ish points per game everywhere. Whether quarterbacks get hurt or not, whether running backs get hurt or not, whether they have a great offensive line or an okay offensive line, his offenses average a lot of points. So unlike Walt Bell, this guy is much more, in my opinion, proven commodity, which I think the more fascinating part of the hire is Willie just saying, okay, it's your offense.
Yes.
Don't you? I mean, we talked about that, but that's what has happened.
Well, because it's like, what's the I don't want to say what the difference is going to be, but Willie's offense is the philosophy, or at least the mindset, is very similar to what Kendal Briles has been establishing for the last few years. So what's the disconnect? Like, what's Kendal going to bring to the table that Willie didn't? Was it Walt Bell not doing anything? Was Walt Bell a net negative on this team? Was he weighing them down? Will Kendal just be more organized, a better communicator? Like, that's my sort of thing. Because if you look at them, they both put up a lot of big points in the same football conference. Both of them always had running backs putting up lots of yards. So, like, what's the bridge going to be that, like, where was that disconnect down the line between what Willie's done down previous stops into what happened last year, and, like, how can Kendal Briles sort of bridge that gap, I guess? That's what we're going to try to find out. That's what has me a little bit cautiously optimistic. Listen, he's like a top 5 offensive coordinator. I mean, Kendal Briles is a legitimate top 5 offensive coordinator in the entire country in college football. Florida State went and just got him, made an aggressive play for him, stole him away from his alma mater. That's as big of a deal as well. But to your point, you're not going to bring a guy like that with that sort of cachet, that resume, and have we seen any terms? Yeah, I mean,
No.
It's going to be.
I mean, he was making 700.
Yeah.
So. And plus, there's a buyout, so you got to imagine it's going to be more than 700. I don't think it's $1 million, but it's somewhere over 700. And you had to pay for his buyout, and he might be bringing in his O-line coach too.
Right.
So paying another buyout if Greg Fry is going somewhere.
Yeah.
So the point being, Florida State wasn't afraid and wasn't shy about ponying up money. This is a big deal. They know it, and I think that's a big part of this hire. Because we can get into it. We don't have to get into it. It's up to you. You're driving the show. That last name is that last name. But it was worth it to Florida State to get a guy that they think is a proven commodity that is going to turn around this offense quickly. Because you can't have an offense that looks like this, and you can't have a football program that looks like this. You're 12-13 in the last 25 games. You have to figure out a way to turn this thing around, just from the university standpoint, from a money making standpoint. From a booster donation, all that stuff is on the line. You don't want to turn into a mediocre to below average football program, which is what you've been now for 2 years. So that's why this hire was made. That's why it was really important. And that, quite frankly, I think is what, I don't know if they told Willie he had to go do this, or Willie figured it out looking in the mirror. I got to go get a guy the keys to this thing and let him run it. But I think, to me, the most fascinating part of the hire is that, because it was going to be the same thing with Hugh Freeze. Like, Hugh Freeze wasn't going to come here to not call plays and to run the offense. That was Willie. It had already been made up, apparently. It had already been decided that whoever they were going to hire was going to be the guy running the show on offense. And I think that says a lot about how, I heard a USA Today reporter on the radio yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, calling it seemed desperate. I think desperate is a pejorative. I think that's a negative. I don't want to use the word desperate, but I think that
necessary.
Sure. That's better. That's probably a better word. Yeah, I think it's a net. You couldn't have come back here with this same offensive staff, in my opinion.
Or the same setup. You couldn't have brought in a guy who was young
Right.
and up and coming. You needed an
A
established
guy you got out of
commodity.
Kent State or something
Yeah.
that was 29 years old, but really, everybody vouched for him, but he hadn't really proven anything at this level. You got a guy. I don't know that there's 5 other, like you said, I don't know if there's 5 other coordinators in the country that just on resume you would have gone and gotten before Kendal Briles. I think they aimed for this guy and got him, and we'll see how it plays out. Though the one thing that I think it's more than play calling, though, when it comes to this. The thing that I think can really help this offense and this program, and again, we don't get to watch a lot of practice. We don't. We get to watch, 5 periods?
Yeah.
So maybe after we leave, they ramp it up, and it is a well-run, by the books, bang, bang, bang. Everybody is doing something, no standing around types of practices. Like the first 2 we saw, they weren't like that, where we get to watch the whole thing. It struck me as a lot of standing around and not a lot of like real work being done. 11 on 11, good on good, all that stuff. I want to see if Willie Taggart lets Kendal Briles dictate the practice. If
at least
he
on the
organizes
side,
the practices.
Right? Yeah.
Because I think that's a bit almost a bigger deal than play calling. Is getting the practices structured in a way where you're getting the most you can out of those 2.5 hours each day. Because whatever they do at FAU, Houston, and Baylor, whatever they did, it certainly worked on Saturdays. And whatever Willie did this year in Walt Bell, whatever the way their practices were organized, did they look like they worked on Saturday? So maybe more attention to detail. I'm just curious to know if Kendal Briles gets to structure practices too on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that's been so frustrating about talking about this football team for, the last 4 or 5 months, is that obviously the record is what the record is. They look the way they looked in the games against Florida, Clemson, and Notre Dame. We talk about the offensive line obviously being substandard. We talk about the quarterback play obviously being substandard. But there's everything just kind of melds together when you get in these situations, and it falls back like you talk about. We start kind of like falling back on notes and observations we made at practice. People got upset when we started mentioning the fact that players were fraternizing with the family in the parking lot an hour before kickoff, or skill players are kicking field goals and goofing around during warm-ups. It's like, well, you don't want to throw all this stuff out there and start playing blame game, but like everything, like everyone talked about culture. Willie's going to change the culture. Like, it feels like it's more than, like you said, it's more than just a guy calling plays. It's going to be more than just adding a junior college or a grad transfer guy on the offensive line and adding a transfer quarterback. Like, the whole thing needs to be flushed and started over again, which is crazy because it's year 2 of this guy. But I would assume that's going to have to be the hope. That's going to have to be the charge for Kendal Briles, sort of if they went through all this rigmarole to get him, if they waited around and they're going to absorb the negative PR, which I don't really think they've gotten a lot. And I think, everybody loves a winner. I think if say Florida State ends up, I don't know, man, like playing Florida in 2 years for a trip to make it into the playoff, I don't think the stories will be, Florida State is in this situation, but look what they had to do to get there. I think it'll be like, Kendal Briles learned from the mistakes of his father and has, been a great leader of men. I really think like those will be the stories if Florida State's in a really good position. And if they're not, no one's going to talk about Florida State, just like they did in 2018. So I think they fairly got out of this pretty unscathed. They've been pretty insulated from any sort of blowback. I thought your column, dude, I don't want to get too far into it. I had no problems with it. I can't believe you apologized. I wish you didn't apologize. There was way too much hypersensitivity from people reading things. It's a total fair observation. I think you were just telling people to prepare. Like, listen, this is a great hire, but there's going to be some blowback. I thought it was kind of like a heads-up thing. Like, be prepared because you're going to have to face some of this. But people made it seem like you were criticizing it or you were playing a blame game. I didn't get any sort of that sense of that sort of stuff. But,
look, man, that's the first time. I feel like that's the first time I've ever apologized for anything I've written, and I didn't apologize for what I wrote. Yeah. And it's legitimate. I apologize for when I wrote it because, as I pointed out in my apology, And for people that don't know, you need to be on War Chant. I don't know what you're doing. But basically I wrote the on the football field, the hiring of Kendal Briles was a slam dunk, grand slam. But there are factions of the fan base that are really put off by the hire because of the last name, whether that's fair or not.
Right.
They're put off by the hire, and the administration had to keep that in mind. They had to consider it. This was not a willy-nilly, he averages 40 points a game, let's get him. That last name played a role in vetting, whatever they had to do to make sure that this was the right hire and this wasn't going to be an embarrassment. And it is fair to point out that 2 other schools hired him. And it's not like he's not allowed to climb the ladder. If he's good enough for FAU, good enough for Houston, then sure, man, he can climb the ladder. But Florida State is different than those schools. There's more national attention at Florida State. There's bigger fan bases at Florida State. And there are, I promise you, plenty of people that reached out to me after that column, just like you, said, man, you shouldn't have apologized. That's exactly what I was feeling. But sometimes there are business decisions to be made too. And more than anything, nobody wants to put their boss in a position where they're having to lock threads and defend one of their columnists. So, I felt bad for doing that to Gene. And again, I just don't think that it's something that could have been written either right when it was rumored that Briles would be coming, or maybe 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, the day of, because Florida State fans haven't had a lot of good news in a year. And the day of, they get some good news because they get the guy they want. They get a hotshot offensive coordinator. They get the guy, and then the War Chant dude is telling them, "Hey, remember all that stuff at Baylor?" I don't. There's nothing I wrote that I disagree with, but it was just the timing of it, and I could have explained myself better. But look, that is the last name, and you're right. I don't think there will be a ton of blowback. There will be some though. And I'm sure there were some from boosters and fans, and there will be. I know you can't judge a fan base by message boards and Twitter, but there's a lot of. I saw plenty of people saying they were ashamed. Some of them saying they weren't going to be Florida State fans anymore, and I saw other people saying that they were going to stop following me because I didn't support the OC hire. That's fandom, and I don't let that stuff get to me. It's just you don't want to upset your boss too much, essentially. And it wasn't, Gene didn't tell me to write anything or apologize. I did it because it's the truth. Looking back on it, and I knew it right away. Like I should have told Ira, like, man, I don't think I'm the guy to write this column right now. Give me a few days.
Should put my name on it.
Everybody doesn't. Nobody likes Aslan anyway.
Yeah,
let him take the hit for this one. Yeah. So that was the timing of it was a mistake. Like I think it should have been something that happened maybe in the middle of January, and it should have been written more in a way of, kind of what do you guys think? Is there any trepidation at all from you guys? Because we don't know anything because all the documents are sealed, and there are serious accusations about the place he was at. So that's all, and that last name is that last name, but. Quite frankly, there are plenty of people in the Florida State fan base, certainly on the tribal council, that would be cool if Art Briles was the new coach. That's the feeling I get from the criticism.
Yeah.
That I think that's the natural part of fandom. Not a majority, but there are some people that don't care about anything but winning. Yeah. I don't write for those people. So, that was where the blowback came for the column. But also, people can criticize, when you're a columnist and you write opinions or you have opinions on the radio, as you know, there are going to be people that think you don't know what you're talking about and they criticize you. That's part of the game.
Right.
There were, I think 28% of the country still supported Nixon after all the Watergate stuff came out. Yeah. Said he should still be president. As he's on tape, lying to the American people and cheating and talking about putting out hits on people. Spiro Agnew thought he was going to be assassinated by the president. There were still 28% of the people in the country that supported him. So you can't please everyone. But in that instance, knowing who I'm writing for, knowing where I write, knowing the timing of it, could have been another 10 days or so before I opened up that can of worms.
Right. I'm psyched though. We'll see how it goes, man.
I do, and that's another point I didn't get across in the column. I think it's a good hire. I think what it says. I think the most important part of the hire is that Willie is giving over the keys right away. That didn't take long. That was a complete about face. within 4 months. I think that speaks to how necessary something like this was, how bad the season was, and also that Willie, whether he was told to or not, and I can't imagine he was told to. Nobody's really calling the shots on Willie Taggart's program right now because they don't have the leverage. They owe him too much money. But that he was willing to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Let's go get the best offensive coordinator we can get, and he's going to do all of it.
The best
and I'm going to be a Dabo-like coach, which there's no shame in that.
Nope.
But at all. I mean, man, hey, Dabo's getting ready to play in another playoff game, and he hadn't called an offensive play in 10 years. Yeah. Nobody's criticizing Dabo for that. So I think it's a really positive step that there's a coach that has his ego isn't big enough to keep him from doing what's good for the program. And I do think Florida State got better on, when was that? Saturday? Monday? The days are all running together because of holidays.
Yeah, there's a weird time. The time between Christmas and New Year's Day is just, I don't remember. Everyone just blends together. It's one big blur.
Especially because there's a weekend in the middle of it.
Right.
So it almost feels like it's a 7-day weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are having to work because that's what we do. We grind.
Every day. Well, not every day, obviously. We're just
most every day. We rise and we grind. Yeah. That's what we do.
No, I am curious to see because, even Walt Bell said it during the season, did it at his introductory press conference at Amherst and UMass. By the way, Amherst is like way inland. It's not even close to Boston. It's like 2.5 hours away. He's in the middle of nowhere in Massachusetts. So live it up, Walt. Yeah, I mean, like I'm not trying to diminish Willie Taggart's football prowess, but like, yeah, why can't he be like the spiritual leader? Like, why can't he just tap into players that need to be, their psyche needs some improvement, like help coach them up? Willie knows ball. I mean, Willie would fall around Greg Fry after the whole Syracuse debacle and see what he could do to help, offer suggestions. Like, yeah, man, let Willie be it seems like he's a really good communicator. Seems like he's probably really easy to work with, I would imagine, if you're a coach. He doesn't seem like he's gonna, step on toes. He's gonna give guys autonomy when they deserve it, and if they don't, he's gonna get involved in the mix. So yeah, like let him look back at the bigger picture. Let guys like Kendal Briles focus on the day-to-day sort of nuts and bolts and things. Then Willie's gonna obviously, and he has every right to throw his input onto certain implementation of things they want to do, call certain plays at certain times. I think we need to do this. There's no reason to be like Willie doesn't know how to do that. He's proven it, time and time again in the programs that he's rebuilt. But again, it just feels like right now with the way this roster is, with the time he was hired, the condensed schedule of recruiting that he inherited that first year, like he needs a bit of a sort of a curve, I guess, and you can't give that to him in the midst of a season. You can't get gimme victories. You can't get do-overs. Give him a really good coordinator, and then let him focus on recruiting guys, and let him rebuild the roster. And then when Kendal Briles has got this thing rolling, and he's no longer seen as being possibly a PR problem, and he goes and coaches somewhere, then Willie can go back and he can get himself the next young up-and-coming guy at a discount, and Willie can start pulling the levers again and keep this thing rolling. So. Again, yeah, I don't think we've said another word besides necessary. I mean, I agree with you. Desperation is a pejorative. It makes it sound a very negative connotation. I don't see it that way. It's cool to see this university step up and see that there's a problem and offer the best possible solution. Everybody gave John Thrasher hell for the whole less than gold standard. Well, you kind of went for the gold standard, at least when it comes to X's and O's.
Yeah, I mean, they're spending a lot of money on this hire because they know how important it is, and it is. It's really important. I mean, if the offense had been a typical Oregon Taggart type offense last year, they won 7 or 8 games. It wasn't. They won 5, barely. By the skin of their teeth did they win 5. So that has to change. That's the number one. I know it's the offensive line is the heart of it, but you've got to get an offense that can score. In this day and age in college football, you can't be averaging whatever they average, 20 points a game in ACC play, 18, who knows? You can't do that. This guy doesn't ever do that. I guess we could go back and look at since he's been a college coach. Now, the first decade, I think, was at Baylor. The first 6 or 7 years was at Baylor. I bet he's scored over 40 points 50 times, 35, 40 times. I mean, that's what they do. They go fast and they score a lot of points. And if you can do that, once you get athletes, once you get the guys you want for this system, yeah, man, I think I just think this was this is a on the football field a home run hire. And I said it at the time when people got all worked up about the great Sam Howell. It's like, baby, you just traded Walt Bell for Kendal Briles. Yeah. You traded a guy that's never proven anything at this level to a guy that's proven almost everything at this level, offensively anyway. And you lost a North Carolina quarterback in the process. All right, but you got Kendal Briles. I think you won. I think at the end of the day, I guess we can look back at this 2 years from now and see if I'm full of it here. But as Sam Howell's winning his second Heisman Trophy, but I think you won this trade. And, you know, I get why Florida State fans are really excited about it because it's a good hire. I think it's a really good football hire. Yep. The guy can coach. And I think it's really important that Willie's going to let him coach. I'm really fascinated to see that dynamic, though. Because when he hired Walt Bell, it was like a grooming situation, right? Yeah. Like, come work for me with the big boys, buddy, and I'll get you any job you want in a couple years once we get this offense rolling. To me, that's what I was thinking it was like. And but I'm running the show. I'm the captain. You're the what's under a captain? The co-captain. What would that be?
Lieutenant.
The captain of an airplane. What's the second in command?
I don't know. I didn't watch Top Gun. Come on, man.
I was just thinking of airplane.
Oh, co-pilot?
Roger Murdoch, yeah, Vector Victor. So he's the captain. Well, you know, now he's not anymore of the offense. There's another guy running the show. But I don't know that Willie's ever really had that since he became successful as a head coach. So how is he going to handle that? And is he, for the rest of his career, not a play caller anymore? Or is this a 2-year stopgap until Kendal Briles goes somewhere else? Or is this really Willie Taggart from now on is going to be Dabo? Because that's a big step to admit. That's a big step to take. So kudos to him, man, for being willing to do it. Because I don't think many guys at his age, 42, who've made their bones calling plays. That's how he got to Florida State, was his offense, starting at Western Kentucky and then to South Florida and then to Oregon. For him to after 1 year say, you know what, you're right. I'm not doing this well. I'm going to get the best coordinator that I can get in the country, and I'm going to step back and let him run it. I just don't know that there's many Power 5 head coaches that would have done that, especially when their jobs aren't really in jeopardy. After next year, maybe, but he wasn't on the hot seat. It wasn't like the Brian Kelly situation where they made him make changes. Yeah. Willie Taggart could have gone the other route. He could have said, you know what? I'm the OC and QB coach. Let's go hire 3 offensive line coaches. He didn't. He went and got the best guy he could get. Or he thought was the best guy he could get. And, you know, I think that's a real positive for Taggart. It's also, again, we saw what we saw this past fall. Something had to change. And it feels like you're almost getting getting a completely new system, a completely new offense. And it can't be worse than what we saw last year. It's only going to be better.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Now the question is who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, you know, we mentioned that on the roundtable, which will be coming out on warchant.com. Check it out soon. Use the promo code warchant30. Myself, Gene, Ira, and Corey talking about the hot stove, I guess the hot stove of college football topics. You talk about you can't imagine, like a guy like Kendal Briles coming here and not calling plays. Like I can never wrap my head around the whole theory that people have. I don't even know if it's a theory. I've seen it a couple times on War Chant, but it could be totally just subscribers just spitballing things. This whole thing of like DeAndre was given 2018 with the sort of caveat that you get 18, but then you got to kind of, figure out your next move, and it shouldn't be here. Like I just don't know, like where the whole quarterback situation, the way it worked out was bizarre. And that was one of the topics we talked about, is whether or not he comes back. I'll take him at his word. I mean, he told the Orlando Sentinel after they first reported that sources told him he's leaving, that he's going to apply for the NFL, evaluation, I'm assuming, check out his options, and then kind of go from there. I can't see him getting a really great grade that's going to make him feel like, all right, this is a really good sort of proposition. There's a really good potential here for me to go to the NFL now. And he says if that's not where he's going to go, he's going to stay at Florida State. So, I mean, I see him staying at Florida State, and I don't know where Jordan Travis sort of factors into this, because it seems like he's obviously transferring as a freshman, so he can't be immediately eligible unless he gets that waiver. And I don't know how valid the sort of backstory or his explanation is going to be to get the waiver. So we're kind of at the status quo with the quarterback position, right?
I liked it. But again, people that know me or listen to me or read my writings over the years, Devin Travis is my all-time favorite kid to cover at Florida State.
He's big time Devin Travis fan.
Hopefully his younger bro is just as cool as he is, and has just the kind of career that Devin did at Florida State, because he was really good on the baseball team. Man, I'm still in the camp that I would be really surprised if Francois was back. The fact that Taggart talked about him like he did at the press conference, saying he's weighing his options, didn't say, really didn't even say anything about the NFL. He just said weighing his options. Yeah. Leads me to believe that his primary option is not to come back to Florida State.
Like, I don't want to interrupt you here, Corey, but then why did he start every game?
Why did you interrupt me?
Because I have to because I won't remember this. Because there's so many times I'm like, ooh, I want to jump in here, but I'll let Corey finish, and then I have the
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I have a pea-sized brain. I forget it. Well, then, if you're cool with letting him leave, like you're going to let him explore his options, you'll support him leaving, then, like, why were you so invested in him in 2018? And I know Ira talks about maybe the Blackman family wanted a red shirt, but I'm sure if he would have been the starting quarterback in September, he would have been fine playing this season. None of this will ever make sense to me unless I'm in a room with Willie and we're both drunk and he's totally honest with me. And I'm not trying to say that he's being dishonest, but I don't expect him to reveal the machinations of what he's going through to pick the starting quarterback, stick with the starting quarterback. But again, if you're cool with letting DeAndre Francois leave after this season, then why were you so dead set on him being your guy and giving him 9 lives in 2018? Obviously I'm thinking you didn't think James Blackman was a good enough option to go to, or I don't know, is offensive line now cured? Are they fixed? Then now you're like, all right, now they're good enough. We can put James back there. We can now start rolling. You're no longer needed. Thank you.
Sometimes you just have to live through life. You have to experience it to realize mistakes you made or why things don't work out. Or, in August, I'm sure Francois was the best option. I'm sure of it. I don't think either one of us disagree with that. In August, Francois was the guy that should be starting. Well, and then you go through what you go through in the first 6 weeks of the season, and the offensive line is so bad that it's really hard to judge. DeAndre has some nice moments. And, at that point, maybe you start to realize, maybe the other guy should get some playing time. But then by that time, you have a chance to redshirt him. And there's not that much separation between them. I don't know. It was always
bizarre,
odd
man.
that Blackman was just not even a thought. But especially because when he did play, we saw what he did. He was pretty darn good. And then they didn't go back to him again. I think once that happened, that definitely was a red shirt scenario. That's the only thing that makes sense, is that they wanted to red shirt him. Why they didn't go to him before that, that's the issue I have with the way the quarterbacks were handled. After the NC State game, they weren't going to beat Florida no matter who played quarterback. They weren't going to beat Notre Dame no matter who played quarterback, in hindsight. So it really didn't matter. But the first half of the season, I thought they could have gotten James Blackman a lot more reps than they did. And yeah, you're right. It really, if you were so tied to Francois in September, in early October, that you wouldn't even think about giving his backup a chance, then why all of a sudden are we just completely okay with him bouncing when he's got a year of eligibility left? I think it's the 11 games of proof and evidence that Willie Taggart, I don't think it would be heartbreaking for him if DeAndre Francois left. Just like I don't think it'd be heartbreaking for any Florida State football fan to be like, all right, man, good luck, dude. Yeah. Good luck. Thank you. You really are a tough kid. You tried really hard. Thank you for your effort. But, I don't think Florida State fans are all clamoring to see number 12 throw any more passes. And that's not a shot at him. It's just, it feels like it's time to move on to a different quarterback, to me. And I think that, I don't know if that message has been relayed to DeAndre, but I just think the way the whole season went, it seemed obvious to me in November that, okay, he's probably not coming back for his senior year, whether it's the NFL or not. And the thing is, you don't have to get a first-round grade to go to the NFL. He might get a 5th or 6th round grade and say, you know what? I just want to go try to make a team and declare. He obviously is not getting a first-round grade or even probably a top 3 round grade. But if they come back and say, yeah, you could be drafted, that's enough for some people. Heaven knows at Florida State, they get kids all the time that leave when they're not guaranteed of being drafted. So I don't think that would be completely outlandish if he just entered his name into the draft. But I'm still not convinced that he won't transfer either.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Lots.
But yeah, you're right. I don't know what they're going to do with the Jordan Travis if he'll be eligible or not. I do think they're still going to try to get another high school quarterback, right?
Yeah. They're trying to get for that. I think last I looked, we'll probably get Michael on next week to update us. I'll actually be with Michael over in Orlando. Maybe I'll just have some sort of special, not a wake up war chant, but maybe I'll just have a little quick 10-minute thing with Michael over in Orlando. The Under Armour All-American games going on New Year's Day, and then they're having a media day, so there'll be a lot of the top prospects there. We'll kind of get a heads up on what they're pursuing. But I do know there's
That's cool. So you do get to cover a New Year's bowl game after all.
Yeah, man. Dude, did you see?
Congrats, buddy.
Did you see the stands at the Independence Bowl? I mean, there's nobody there. Nobody.
Yeah.
And it's not even cold this time. It's not deathly cold as it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw like how important these bowls really are with the fact that they just canceled one.
Yeah.
Just like Boston College and like Boise State and Boston College, those are like real programs.
Yeah.
I mean, Boise State's a top 20-ish program for the last decade. And they're just like, and they're in Dallas. They weren't in Shreveport. And they're like, you know what? Sorry. We're just gonna cancel this thing. Thanks for coming.
That's the good thing. At least if you're with all your buddies or your family, at least you're stuck in Dallas. At least you didn't go to El Paso for the Sun Bowl or Shreveport for the Independence Bowl, and then you find yourself there, with an extra 12 hours.
It still feels like it would feel like a pretty big waste. The reason you're there,
but it's like Dallas.
Under the offices that you're there to watch a football game.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no. It's the first quarter. There's some lightning, some bad weather, and we just don't want to wait around here till it clears up. So we're just going to cancel it. Everything cool? Y'all got your bowl gifts? All right, cool. Thanks.
Later. Hey, the basketball team. You've been working. You've been grinding. You watched the game against St. Louis last week. The Noles are now 10-1, 11-1. Watch out, 11-1. 11-1. They'll be back at home on Tuesday, taking on Winthrop. This team's getting good. I mean, they're already good. They're getting better, right? What did you see from the St. Louis game?
Kofor. I think that was the biggest. They hit threes, which, again, they can't shoot as poorly as they had been. But Kofor, I think, played 20 minutes or right around 20 minutes, had 7 or 9 points, couple rebounds, but he looked like the athletic Kofor again. Like you could tell a little bit of the rust had worn off, and he should be, they don't want to play him a ton, but they hope to have him back to what he was by like the middle of January. So I thought that was a really important step. He looked good on defense. They look really good on defense overall, although that team can't shoot a lick, St. Louis. They shoot like the St. Louis Rams. They don't shoot the ball with Cardinals, maybe. There are no Rams anymore out there. Come on, Clark. Get it together. But, yeah, I thought that was a really big development that Kofor wasn't just a 5-minute. He played 5 minutes the first game, then didn't play at all, and then came back and played 20 minutes, hit some shots.
17.
Like I said, got some rebounds. That's a big deal because he's, probably your best returning player other than Trent Forrest. Although I say Terrence Mann's a really good college basketball player too, man. Yeah. So now you got 3 really good. I don't know if any of them will ever make the NBA, but you've got, if Phil Kofor gets back to full health, you've got 3 really good college basketball players, and Mann, Forrest, and Kofor, in experience too, along with a lot of other nice pieces around them. So that, but again, Phil Kofor coming back. Now they have their full complement of weapons as long as MJ Walker's okay. They seem to think he will be. He banged his knee in that game. Could be a pretty nice season for the old Noles, Aslan. They're number 9 in the country.
Yeah.
They're number 9 basketball team in the country at Florida State.
I know.
How about that?
Hey, you called this. You've been waiting on this. David Nichols has kind of strung together a few good games here. Now he's 7 of 11 from the floor, 4 of 7 from behind the arc. Had a team high 19.
He might be their best shooter.
Yeah,
like their most consistent. If he's open, he's knocking it down. He is just a really good shooter. Still not completely 100% great with the ball in his hands. Still a little careless, a little sloppy with that. Forrest is the primary ball handler late in games and will be. But, man, that guy is a spark off the bench. And I thought it was going to be an upgrade over C.J. Walker when he came in. It wasn't through the first, 10 games, 8 games, but he's been a difference maker the last 3 or 4. And he's a real nice player, and we'll have a lot of big moments for this team over the next 3 months.
All right. I think we've talked about everything we need to talk about, right?
Good, buddy. Are we ever doing a Renegade Express again? Because remember the Stephanie's friend, the lawyer that was doing all the nice pro bono work?
Yes. Which, by the way, they don't have to do that, Corey. I
it doesn't matter. So she's crafted a Renegade Express response. She's just waiting for the thread to start so she can put it in there and give it back to you a little bit.
Okay.
Well, just because you made it sound like she had to do it.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair.
So she's just defending her good name, whatever her screen name happens to be on War Chant.
All right.
I think it's Pro Bono 80. So either way, get ready for that. Whenever we do a Renegade Express again, that will be one of the questions or comments, I guess.
I'll actually go ahead and post the thread here in a little bit. Then we'll put this up, and then we'll reconvene. I don't even know what the calendar looks like. I'm going to be down in Orlando. We'll do a show next week. We'll be back probably on
won't
the
Monday
2nd.
be like New Year's Eve?
I'm trying to look at the calendar. Yes. So
we'll
be
probably
back.
Won't do one on Monday.
Correct.
And maybe we'll do one on New Year's Day? For
no,
the 2nd?
Because we'll probably be recording it on We're not recording anything on New Year's Eve.
No, I'm saying we'll do one. I'm sorry, for the 2nd. We'll do one for the 2nd. But
we'll be back Wednesday. Everyone's like, you guys aren't working. Just come on, man. Relax.
It's crazy. I'm telling you, it's crazy. With the weekend in the middle of the holidays, it's it feels like we've taken 6 days off. Yeah. But it's just the way the calendar works, folks. We're sorry. We really do appreciate all the love and support of Wake Up War Chant.
Wake up!
God bless you. God bless America.
Corey, you got to save something. Well, I'm glad you didn't come out off the top rope with a flying elbow like Macho Man Randy Savage. Save it for
let's try to incorporate as many wrestling references as we can from here on out.
I don't know. Maybe
until I have to go to WWE Raw.
Actually, I don't know, Corey. I don't want to put this. I'm being a really bad friend and a bad co-host with you here, but I mean, this is our last show of the year. So I feel like you probably should give us some sort of, coach us up a little bit of how to be, how to act, how to treat one another, what to do, keys to success for 2019.
Okay, well, I just want to say this. I didn't know this was coming, so this is off the dome. Well, they all are. But let's hope that 2019 is a heck of a lot better than the cesspool grossness of 2018. And I say that just from the last 4 months. We didn't have a lot of fun watching that football team.
What if somebody just had a child in 2018, Corey, and you talked about it being a cesspool?
Yeah,
come on.
But it's over. Now that cesspool is drained. We've drained the swamp. We've drained the cesspool.
Oh, geez.
Now it's back to love and prosperity. We're making Florida State great again. The football team is going to be great again at some point in our lives, and it could have started this past week. That could have been the spark that starts the Florida State's rise to the resurgence, like the Phoenix from the ashes that I've mentioned a time or two. Uh-huh. That's what we're looking at. And you know what? This is the best year that Wake Up War Chant has ever had, at least with you and I as hosts. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think that can't be debated. We're only getting better. I think people like us.
Can't stop,
I think
won't
people
stop.
really enjoy us. They like both of us a lot. Our Q ratings are through the roof. We're getting followers out the yin yang. Things are happening. People just keep listening because we're awesome. You're probably awesome. We don't know most of you, but you're probably good people. If you're listening to the show, you're certainly smart people. And it is the end of the year. I want you to kind of reassess. I want you to kind of assess where your life is, who's in your life. Maybe there's some people, some toxic people that you need to get out. I got a guy I work with that's pretty toxic, but I'm kind of forced to work with him. So I understand. But if you can, try to get those toxic people out of your life. And you know what? Say 2019 is the year for you. You're going to take care of you this year. You're not going to worry about all those other people. It's the time to get you right. And obviously that starts every morning with Wake Up War Chant. But after that, still get yourself right. Know that we love you. Know that we care about you. Know there's a lot of good people in the world. We're all rooting for you. So make it happen and make love, not war.
He's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening. Have a Happy New Year, everybody.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.